Hi family, how you Zulu? Welcome back. I know that this video is long overdue because I've been saying I'm gonna do it for a minute. A lot of life been going on, a lot been going on. But anyways, I'm glad you guys are all here. And today we're gonna talk about it. We are going to talk about reproductive responsibility. Yay! In other words, sexual responsibility and accountability. Now, for the sake of this video, I am going to be calling it reproductive actions, not sex, reproductive actions. And the purpose of that is to drill it into your heads that what we are doing has a purpose. Sex is not here for our pleasure alone. In fact, our pleasure is just a fun, coincidental side effect to what sex is here for, okay? Sex is here for us to be able to reproduce. The purpose of sex is reproduction. Again, the purpose of sex is what? Reproduction, okay? It has very little to do with you wanting to bust a nut or have an orgasm. And trust me, I know a lot of sisters can feel what I'm saying when I say this, because a lot of us have a lot of engagement in some reproductive actions that does not result in our orgasms, okay? I said it. But with that being said, I want to, like I said, drill into the fact of calling sex reproductive actions, because I want us to get away from this ridiculous mindset that tends to be a collective thought process of thinking that the sex and pregnancy or sex and reproduction are not attached, like they're not linked. Like, people really think that you can have sex without risking reproduction. Like, people really think that those two don't go together, and that it's that you know, you can solely focus on one without having to worry about the other. And that is the most idiotic and irresponsible things that we collectively have a tendency to do. And cut it, okay? Thanks to things now, all these contraceptions and post preventative measures and stuff that have been handed to us and imposed on us by our white supremacist counterparts, has really got us fucked up in the head when it comes to how we analyze, associate with, or deal with reproductive actions. Yes, they do have things like the Plan B or day after pill. They have the shots and the injections and the Nuva rings and the pills and and abortions. Funny how all of this really falls on the woman. Funny how all of these things really is the responsibility, the sole responsibility of the woman. And also funny how all of these things negatively affect Black women and our reproductive health and our health in general. I know too many sisters who got the Nuva ring or the implant or this, that, and the third, and they can't get it out, or it's jacked up something else in them, or they haven't stopped bleeding since, and all these other kinds of like really terrible things. How many of us, when we finally do get it out, all of a sudden we're sterile? How many of us are sterilized without our permission after our abortions? You know, all of these things, all of these things, and it's just like, who child, and for why, and for what? We're putting ourselves through all of this bullshit, all these damaging things, all of these terrible things to our health. For what reason? Because we don't have any discipline? Because we're not being sexually responsible or accountable for ourselves? Those aren't good enough reasons to put our bodies through, to put ourselves through these things. Hence this conversation today. And this conversation is not just for the ladies. I'm going to be addressing the brothers and stuff as well. But what brought it up is the fact that it's just going crazy on my timeline and in conversations and stuff lately these days, of people talking about the abortion crisis and all of that. And also I keep seeing, you know, these memes going around like, oh, if Black women would just stop sleeping with coons, that niggas would be revolutionaries tomorrow, which is some idiotic bullshit. And all these things about black women or single black mothers are the reason why the black community is so fucked up, and then we got black women talking about absent fathers and present but deadbeat dads are the reason that our community is so fucked up, and this, that, and the third, and it's all this finger pointing and blame gaming and this, that, and the third going on, and these things are being used for excuses for a lot of bullshit. And so I'm like, you know what? As what tends to be the case, there are these topics and these subjects that come up and are great debate and discussion and this, that, and the third, and yet nobody takes the time to properly analyze these situations, and they miss major keys, major points and parts to these conversations. And that's what I'm here to do, to put the pieces together and give you a holistic view of things. And as you guys know, I also like to do, provide you with solutions when it comes to how we move on from these things as well. Because another habit that we have in our community is everybody want to talk about the problem, but don't nobody want to actually do the work it takes to fix the problem. And a lot of us don't even realize the work that it would take, or what the steps to take and what to do to fix the problem. So here I am, here to fill in those gaps for you. So in this conversation of reproductive accountability and responsibility, there's going to be three little subtopics that I'm going to address. The first one is baby mama / baby daddy drama and issues. The next one into that is going to be about abortion, and then the final one into that is going to be about safe sex practices and reproductive health. So let's dive in. All right, addressing the issues. I know how we do. We address the issue, discuss the issue, and then talk about solutions. So this baby mama, baby daddy drama. For those of y'all who don't know, my parents had me at 16 and 17. I'm the oldest of 8, and my dad has 3 baby mamas. My mom has 3 baby daddies. So if there's anything I know, it's a variety of baby mama and baby daddy drama. Like I said, a variety. I know a whole little bit. I don't, you know, my dad's 3 baby mamas are different in their own likes and their own relationships. My mom's 3 baby daddies, that's the spectrum right there. Fortunately, I am the product, out of all the baby mamas and daddies involved with my family, I'm the product of the best relationship. Not the healthiest relationship, not the most righteous or strongest relationship, but just circumstantially, considering what's in the pit, what's in the lot, considering the types of other relationships that both of my parents have with their other partner, people that they've had kids with, I got the best combo. And I'm super grateful for that, because looking at my other siblings and their parent situations, ooh, it could have been worse. Which, it already wasn't the greatest, but it could have been a lot worse, all right? Also, I have a lot of friends who have kids already. You know, I have a lot of single father friends, and I have a lot of single mother friends. I come across a ton of single fathers just in dating and things of that nature. I've come across many. Many that I've come across have been good fathers, excellent, active in their child's lives, this, that, and the third. I've also come across a bunch of deadbeats and ain't shit trifling motherfuckers who try to paint it like they're not that, their being is just tripping. Nah, you're just trash. And also, I've met a lot of baby mamas in my day. I have a couple of homegirls who have kids. 2 of my younger sisters have, one's pregnant. She gonna bust any day now. I'm having a little almond butter, little baby. I just see a little fat face, and I already seen the ultrasounds. He got a fat face. His mama got a fat face. His daddy got a fat face. This baby gonna have the cutest little fat face and a big old cheek. Okay, let me bring it back. I love babies. I love black babies. I think they're the greatest. So I'm super excited. I can't hold. Let me stop cheesing. Okay, and my other sister, she already has a son. He's a little over 1 year old now. He is biracial, and that is a whole nother story on its own. Whew, child. But I'm saying all this to bring into context and let you guys know that I'm not just talking out of my ass right now. I have a lot of first-hand experience, a lot of second-hand experience, and a lot of close relationships where I am speaking from a place of informed factualness, and no present and complicit bias. Okay, I know what a trash ass baby mama look like, and I know what a trash ass baby daddy look like. I know what a good baby mother looks like, and I know what a good baby daddy looks like. I know what healthy co-parenting relationships look like. I know what unhealthy co-parenting relationships look like. So I have a lot of background when it comes to these types of relationships and feelings of women. That being said, I'm gonna talk to y'all how I talk to my dad, and how I sometimes talk to my mama, and how I definitely, because my mom, she's more so accepted. She's accepted her fate with her poor choice in baby fathers. And she also realizes that she really lucked up with my dad, who's got his issues, but as far as a baby daddy go, she lucked up. Okay. But I'm gonna tell y'all the same thing I tell them. I'm gonna tell y'all the same thing I tell my sister, which she doesn't complain directly to us as much anymore because she's tired of hearing it. And then I'm gonna tell y'all the same thing that I tell my homeboys, and on occasion my homegirls. My homegirls who have kids, they don't entirely complain like that. More so because my homegirls, they're my sisters, and they like me, and we already think the same way, and the conversation, what I'm going to tell them, they didn't already told themselves, so we don't even have to go there. But on occasion, you know, they'll go there, and I'll have to bring them back, like, well, first things first, it's kind of hard for me to hear you complain about your partner when you chose your partner. You should have thought about all of these things about them. You should have paid attention to all these things about them. You should have had all these conversations and figured out all these things about them before you decided to lay with them in the first place. Which is why the solutions part of this video is going to be so important. When it comes to having a trifling ass baby daddy and a ain't shit ass baby mama and all the drama and shit associated with it, she won't let you see your kids, or she gotta beg you to see your kids, or you don't want to pay child support, but you don't also provide financially for the child at all outside of child support, or you got to go. I know a baby father who had to put himself on child support to be able to show that he's helping to financially support his child, because the baby moms was over here trying to make it seem like he was a deadbeat, etc., when he was not. So oh y'all, especially when it comes to, I know too much about, I've seen too much, I've known too much, I've experienced too much, I've lived too much. I know what it's like to not see your sibling for over a decade because of a bad co-parenting situationship. I know what it's like to, you know, finally be old enough to do something and wanting to take your siblings and raise them yourself because of toxic relationships and homes. I know what it's, I have too much experience with this, okay? So the number one thing I have to say for all of y'all out there talking all this shit about these good for nothing, ain't shit ass, trifling ass black bees out here having all these different babies and being a terrible mother, and you know, doing anything for the D, or having multiple baby daddies and this, that, and the third, which I don't think having multiple baby fathers is as tragic as people make it seem. I really think it depends on the relationships between those parents and the situations of why you have multiple baby fathers, like were you married a couple of different times, did someone die, that's the thing, you know, did someone die or end up incarcerated for like ever and you ended up moving on. There's, you know, so having multiple baby daddies doesn't necessarily have to be the problem, but definitely the relationship, and even with baby mamas too, because the same things happen on the other end. But it's the relationships between and stuff that really do count, and the circumstances of why you guys aren't together, and the circumstances of which you've had those children. But when it comes to sexual reproductive health, or reproductive responsibility and reproductive actions and the engagement thereof, and when it comes to this whole us as a community out here trying to point the blame game at the parent that ain't there and then the parent that is there, and how the parents is there, and woo doo blah doo blue, you know, one thing that no one has mentioned is the fact that, hey, those relationships never had to be. You know, no one ever addresses the fact that that the whole reason why these relationships are what they are, and why these broken families and these situations are what they are, is because both adults involved did not practice self-discipline and reproductive responsibility and accountability. That's the core there. Not niggas ain't shit, not bitches ain't shit. It's that black people collectively, enough of us are not practicing reproductive actual responsibility and accountability, and we're not practicing discipline. So you work on those things, and you'll see the dynamic between the type of families that are formed in the future shift and change. And you work on those things, and you'll see ways to fix the dynamics that you have now. So, just saying. Now, that's going to bring me into our next topic. This is my 9.5 pH water in my repurposed glass jar, if you were wondering. That brings me into this next topic of abortion, another red hot topic that's been going crazy on my timeline lately. And I did do a video about this already on my personal Instagram page at pt.1. It's going to be right here somewhere. I already did a live about that. I'm not sure if I saved it or not, but I did do a live about that, but I'm going to touch on it briefly here. Number one, all of y'all out here talking about how, oh, what about victims of rape and incest? I've done a lot of research on the topic of abortion, and I've kept up on it since I was 17, actually. And less than 0.5% of abortions are due to rape victims and incest victims. Less than 0.5%. So that leaves 99.5+% of abortions due to people who have engaged in sexual or reproductive irresponsibility, and then following that are not practicing reproductive accountability. So I do think, I am a firm believer that if you are pregnant due to rape, that you should be able to terminate that pregnancy, because I understand from experience, not abortion, but rape. I've been a victim of rape many times, different circumstances, different people throughout my life, and I don't think I would have it in me to be able to raise a child that has been conceived under those kinds of circumstances. And it's not fair to anybody in that situation at all. Not fair to the mother, not fair to the child. It's just not right. With that being said, and the reason why the number is so low of abortions due to rape is because it's hard to get pregnant during rape. There is a lot going on. Even with pregnancy period, people who try to get pregnant, you understand that you have to get impregnated during a certain period of time, during a month, so many days before or after your next cycle. There's got to be a lot of things going on, and imbalance and whatnot. And no rapist is thinking about those things when they rape you. So typically the timing is typically off, and also because of extreme stress and trauma, it'll be hard for your body can reject the semen and stuff as well anyway, and that's a very common thing as well, which is why I've been raped as many times as I've been raped, but I've never been impregnated. So that's what's like, the numbers are small. But what I think should happen is that if you are impregnated due to someone who has raped you, one, you have to show some kind of proof that you're not just saying that just to get away with getting an abortion. You have to actually go file a police report or something of that nature, and then show that. And that's the thing, you have to be willing to do that so that we know for sure that this is what that was, so that they can terminate your pregnancy. And even still, go in understanding the risk of you being sterilized without your consent after that, your abortion going wrong and you losing your life, and the emotional impact and repercussions that you're going to have to deal with from terminating even that baby that's a product of rape. There are still other options like adoption, even though adoption is not a great option, because when it comes to black children, oh Lord, I was in foster care for 3 months and that shit was trash, and I had white foster parents, and that was a weird and crazy experience. But